Hi, this is Dr. Kimberley Linert, author of Visualizing Happiness in Every Area of Your Life and host of this podcast, Incredible Life Creator. And today I have with me Shazad Carbaidwala. Hey, Shazad.
How you doing, Dr. Kimberly?
I am doing great. I am so excited to have you on and for you to share your journey and your wisdom. So, just so people can know you, I'm going to go ahead and read your bio. So Shazad Carbaidwala is a catalyst for transformation, former professional bodybuilder, leveraging his journey from speaker, author to project manager, entrepreneur, business owner, humanitarian, coach, and law enforcement official to empower individuals worldwide. Central to his life's mission is the art of helping people in any capacity, where Shazad's impact is felt most profoundly. Graduating from the Executive MBA program, Shazad recognized the power of mentorship in his own growth. This realization ignited his passion for coaching, leading him to dedicate himself to guiding others towards success. His coaching approach is direct, empathetic, and results oriented, aiming to unlock the full potential of each individual he works with. Beyond coaching, Shazad is a trailblazer in innovation and social impact. Through his leadership and entrepreneurial ventures, he tackles societal challenges head on, driving tangible change in industries and communities alike. Furthermore, Shazad's commitment to giving back is unwavering. His initiatives provide vital resources and opportunities for those in need, reflecting his belief in the importance of lifting others as we climb. Shazad Carbaidwala's journey is a testament to the transformative power of coaching, innovation, and education. His direct and impactful coaching style inspires individuals to overcome obstacles and achieve their goals, embodying the belief that with the right guidance, anything is possible. Well, I love that.
Very well said, Dr. Kimberly. That is crazy. I've never had an opening that articulate. So thank you. That was very nice of you. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
Yeah, just so people can know you, tell us your journey, tell us your story, tell us about you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, at the age of 5, Dr. Kimberly, I had this mission. I wanted to become a professional athlete at 5 years old. I just like had it in my head. Some people want to be doctors, actors, whatever, lawyers, engineers, whatever. I wanted to become a professional athlete. Um, and the phrase that I'm going to use is a phrase that I've used my whole life, and I continuously use it by any means necessary. It really embodies doing whatever it takes, be true to your word, and do whatever it takes. Now, being a professional athlete is not an easy endeavor, right? There's genetics, there's things that in play. Um, you have to be excel, and you're a very small percentage of wherever you go to become a professional athlete. So I chose the sport, football. So I'm Pakistani descent, and Dr. Kimberly, I don't know if you watch football, NFL, college, whatever. You don't see a lot of Pakistanis running around. I'm 5'6". So, but I still had that in my head. So I did whatever means necessary to get to that level of achievement. And that transcended into my bodybuilding career, which we could talk a little bit more about too. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because along those lines, there was a lot of decisions that were made in my past that I'm not regretful about, because they're a catalyst and they've transcended me into doing more beneficial things for society. But it was a very selfish way of living when I was initially living to get to my goal by any means necessary, right? Um, Things that I put in my body, things that I did, the lack of involvement into my community, a lot of things like that. Did I achieve my goal? Sure, I achieved my goal, but the goal, when the goal was achieved, that's when I really found the purpose in my life, and my overall mission was, wow, spent so much time just thinking and trying to achieve this goal, but now I've achieved this goal, and now I really want to help as many people as possible, with some of the decisions that I made in my past, to some of the bad decisions that I made in my past, addiction, um, gambling, and there's a myriad of things. Um, that now I can actually speak about them, and it helps me because I'm able to kind of socialize to different people and talk about a little bit about my past. Um, there was good things that came out of where I landed in that realm, but there was also some bad choices that were made too.
All right. So did you end up playing college ball or did you end up just going straight into bodybuilding? How did that happen?
Yeah, so went to college, played college ball, did pretty well. Went to a small school, did pretty well. Tried out for some arena football teams, but it just wasn't in my path. And then when that chapter closed, lo and behold, this whole bodybuilding adventure came up, and it was just I was always, I mean, when you're playing sports, and especially in college, like fitness, health, and fitness, and is a very important part, especially when in sports in America, it's taken very very seriously. So and in other parts of the world too, of course. But bodybuilding really came to the forefront when that chapter in my football career ended, and that's when I started talking. I still enjoyed competing, the act of competition. I didn't achieve my goal, so then I decided to look into competing in bodybuilding. Um, and that was a big decision in my life because the commitment to compete at the bodybuilding stage is very intensive. It's a very, very self-absorbing sport where you have to spend a lot of time, not just catering to yourself, not just within the parameters of a gym, but also outside with nutrition, supplementation, um, and if you do go this route, there's a component of anabolics as well, and that led me to some of the choices that I call poor choices. Um, but I've learned a lot from those. So those decisions that I made, and they've been valuable to me.
Mhm. So was the bodybuilding the way you actually created income, or was that something you did on the side and then you were working doing something else?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I mean, some of the things like I've always been like an advocate of having multiple revenue streams, doing multiple things, and just enjoying my path. Um, and so yeah, I mean, it was a there's not a lot of money in the industry unless you're one of the top level competitors, right? And it's very few. I would say about maybe 10 or 15. So yeah, I was making a little bit of revenue, but nothing sustainable, nothing. It was good enough for myself, but if I wanted to start thinking about a family and things like that, it wasn't sustainable. So I had also multiple streams of revenue. I started my own personal training studio. And then I was also working for a software company as well. So doing multiple things, juggling a few things, and I was also maintaining a bodybuilding career, which was spending I was training twice a day, making sure that I was getting in the night nutrients. I had a sponsorship at the time too, so maintaining that sponsorship and that commitment and that relationship with that company was important too. So yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff happening at that time for me.
Wow. And so, um, what happens next in your life? So you weren't married at the time, my guess is.
Yeah, yeah. That's when my life changed. Um, so I became a professional in 2009. 2009. And Dr. Kimberley, I never competed at the professional level. So I reached my goal of professional status, and that's whenever all of the cool things happening. You got a sponsor, you're going to shows, and they know you, and you have the boots, and you're wearing all the gears, like the stuff that superficial, like for me, at the time was like super important. But I got introduced to now who's my wife. to somebody. She was from the United Kingdom, and she was in medicine, and it was great. I mean, it was so refreshing. And Dr. Kimberly, at that time, I wasn't well traveled or anything like that. It was my travel was my gym. That was from work to the gym, back home. That was my travel. Um, it took a couple of trips here and there, but nothing like substantial. But that's, from her being in the UK, it was a long distance relationship. So obviously, if I wanted it to work, I had to go see her, and she came to see me in the US. So that relationship, um, that piece of that relationship at that stage was so pivotal for me because I was able to really recognize and say, oh, wow, there's a whole nother world outside of sports and a gym, and there's so much out there. Um, so I kind of had to re-baseline my entire life, my entire mission, Dr. Kimberly, change. Like, just imagine, like, you're gung ho on this thing, and at age 5, going just boom, 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 and then all of a sudden something just smacks you in the face. You're like, well, wait a minute, maybe this wasn't my right path. Lo and behold, though, it's God's way of working because everything's happened for a reason, and now we're talking about bodybuilding. It's been a source of so many conversations. To this day, it brings me so many opportunities. So I'm just really, really blessed because I was headed in two different directions. I'll be honest with you, Dr. Kimber, I was heading in two different directions, either going to the grave or going to prison. That's where I was headed to, 100%. If my wife wasn't in my life at that time, because the decisions, the amount of um, things that I was putting in my body was not going to last very long because I was so gung ho. And the decisions that I was making, it just wasn't, something was going to happen. I mean, I was dealing drugs. I'll give you some perspective. Dr. Kimberly, so in 1999, I took a trip to Mexico and smuggled around, I can't remember what the price of it was, but they tagged it as like $10,000 worth of anabolic steroids and tried to smuggle it to the US. I got caught, and I was looking at 7 years in a penitentiary. 7 years for distribution. I was only 18, 19 years old, first offense. Um, and going through the trial bases in Texas. So I made it through the border from Mexico to Texas, got stopped in Texas, and found all the stuff, all the gear. And I'm like wet behind the ears. I was a college football player at the time, so I thought I was the biggest shot in the whole wide world, right? Got thrown in lockup. Um, I had to call my family. At the time they didn't even know what was going on. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, this is reality. I'm looking at 7 years. My life is over. Speaking to the lawyer was telling me, yeah, fortunately, Shazad, they have you pegged for distribution, whether it's your first offense or not. Texas is not light on people that are trying to smuggle drugs from Mexico and then also distributing them. So you're going to look at some time. Ah, man, my whole life, college, everything down the drain. So I'm just giving you an example and some perspective on one of the many decisions. This is just one of my bad choices that I talk about in my book as well. Um, Going through the arraignment process, and then I get on the trial, and the judge, she just looks at me and she's like, "You're a baby. Like, this is your first offense. You're a baby." Like, and I heard that when you were in lockup, you were very respectful and very kind and polite to the correctional officers and everything. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I made a mistake, real bad mistake, and a lot more mistakes after that. So she's like, listen, I'm not going to ruin your life. I'm not going to put you in prison for 7 years. Um, Here it is. I'm going to give you a gold key. You wear this around your neck. Um, and anytime you think about committing another crime, that is a key to your jail cell. Just remember that. It's posted up on my wall here.
Mhm.
gold key. I framed it and everything. I used to wear it all the time, and now I've posted, because every time I walk in my office, I look at that gold key, because it tells me that I had angels on my corner helping me through and guiding me. And she's like, listen, I'm going to give you community service, I'm going to give you probation, and I'm going to keep you out of the judicial system. So she saved me, essentially. And, Dr. Kimberly, you would think that that would be in my head as like, oh, okay, he's changed. This is a refining moment, right?
Mhm.
Nope, because I didn't do that community service. I didn't even do those hours. I just cheated. I cheated the whole process. But it's funny, God spins everything around and comes back. And now the outreach stuff I'm doing is all like repentant to get back those hours that I was supposed to give that I never gave. It works in mysterious ways.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's one story. There's other things that have happened to addiction and so many things. But it's all bodybuilding and sports was a catalyst to all those decisions. So that's why I mean I'm not like this, you know, heroic athlete like this was played 13 years in the football and in the Hall of Fame and all that. So I'm none of that. I think college, big deal. It was like, um, but for me, these things were the catalyst on some of the decisions that I was making. It was leading me to like driving that, because I had that vision in my head, like by any means necessary. So now my thing is helping people by any means necessary.
Yeah. So, once you did get married, so you kind of came from different backgrounds as far as, you know, she's in medical, so you were coming up in sports. I mean, really total. So, as a couple, how did you integrate that and how did you make all that work?
Yeah, big time. I mean, so polar opposites. She's very faithful. I wasn't at all. Religion was very important in her life. Religion was not important to me at the time at all. So I mean, we made it work because we found a lot of commonalities. We loved hanging out with each other. We made each other laugh. There was a lot of things like movies, going out. The distance was tough, right? Chicago, United Kingdom, world apart, different cultural norms, societal norms. At the time, I wasn't faithful. She was. I mean, it was like something fate brought us together, honestly. And I'm very fortunate, very, very fortunate. And marriage is not easy, Dr. Kimberly. It's tough. It's tough. But I honestly feel like she was not put on this earth for me, but she was put on this earth part of it to make sure I'm going down the right path, you know. So I'm so grateful for her, and now I have another angel on my shoulder, my mom. I have my little girl who's 5 years old. She's on my shoulder too now. So I'm just so blessed with having guardian guardian angels, helping me and guiding me and making sure that I stick to my mission in life.
Mhm. So, what are you doing now?
Oof. So I own my personal training business. I've operated that since 2004, on and off, but now it's doing pretty well. I'm really blessed in that capacity. Work in software. I worked in the tech industry. I worked for a company called SAP America. Been there for 17 years. Another amazing opportunity that I'm so blessed to be working for a great organization, work with phenomenal people. Um, I'm also a coach and motivational speaker. And I authored my own book that came out in 2021, which is called Row, ROW. And working a little bit of law enforcement too. And so yeah, it sounds like a lot.
Mhm.
It is kind of a lot, but I love doing it. And I want to be stretched as much as possible in life. So when I go, I leave a lasting legacy, because one of the things is my father passed away in 2009. 2009. So I became a professional one of the last things he told me was, "Hey, Shazad, go after your dream. It's bodybuilding. Go after it." One of his last things he said to me, maybe his last thing he said to me, but so I pursued it. But his mission, from what I hear from people that have come up to me after he's passed, they've always come up to me and says, "You know, your dad did this for me. You know, your dad did this for me. Like back in the day, he co-signed for a house for me. He did this. He brought me from Pakistan to the US and gave me a room to live in when he barely had anything." And I hear those stories and I'm like, here I am lifting weights and my dad is doing all this amazing stuff for people. Like, that's where I need to be. So that changed me. So as we kind of peel back the onions a little bit in my life, that changed me as well. Like my wife, um, my circumstances, him hearing his mission through other people that he has helped, really changed me as well. So it was a myriad of things that just kind of made me change. Gave me that 180.
Mhm. So tell me about your book.
So ROW, it's a little dark, so please bear with me. It's about a gentleman that is in prison, in San Quentin prison, and he's going to be executed in 2 weeks. And each chapter is a jail journal about what he's experiencing in the present, in San Quentin prison, all the way leading up to the date in the chamber of when he's going to get executed. So it gets very vivid. But each jail journal talks about the present, but then it also talks about a chapter, a piece of the life. So it talks about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So how I was born, how I was raised, and it talks about those poor decisions that we've been kind of touching upon. And it talks about some of the outreach and philanthropy things that I'm doing now. Speaking in prison and things like that. So like it goes into like a very like twist and it's don't ask me why I positioned it like that. I was just like, it was my first book. That's my last book. Princess. I spoke to Dr. Kimberly. She's
Oh,
here.
yes, we have a visitor.
Um,
Hey.
this is Ahmed.
So,
This is Dr. Kimberly. Let's say hi.
Who's Dr. Kimberly?
Dr. Kimberly. Yeah, she's talking with Daddy. Um, so
Take it off.
sorry, Dr. Kimberly. Oh my God, it's stuck in your head. Can you ask mommy to take it off, Princess? Can you ask mommy to take it off?
No, can you take it off? It's stuck on my headache. Yeah.
The beauty of it though is, I'm able to get it released and published and through Amazon and all the proceeds from the book go to charity. So it's awesome. It's another blessing, I never envisioned in a million years that I'll be publishing a book,
I'm,
So it's
exactly.
great.
So I'm just curious, of all the things you do, because you're doing several things, why law enforcement? What made you decide to go into law enforcement?
Um,
Daddy's busy.
um, they I'm so inspired by law enforcement. Just it's I'm a former police officer. I served in Boston, Massachusetts, Somerville Auxiliary Police Department, where I was a reserve officer, and didn't I was always inspired by the work that they do because I kind of feel like there's always been somewhat of a misconception about police officers and law enforcement in general. Um, and the inspiration work that they do is they go out. Not only do they police the community, that's just a little bit of the scope of work that law enforcement does, but it's also community engagement, the amount of outreach and help that they provide people, um, is you can't put a number on it. It's pretty amazing. And they put their life out on the line. It's a tough job. It's a tough job, and from a compensation standpoint, it's not like they're getting rewarded all this money. It's kind of like the teaching profession, so um, that's what inspired me to go into law enforcement, just to again help out the community as much as I can.
Yeah. I've always thought about, the police officers, they need to give them even more training. I mean, they're not just enforcing the law, protecting people, keeping people safe, but they almost need a psychology degree because how they have to come out and talk to people and talk through things with people. And a lot of times the people they're having to talk with are not even reasonable. They're in the situation because they're not being reasonable in the first place. And the policemen have to come out or the sheriff have to come out and try and talk to these people and get them to see even common sense things sometimes.
Yeah, and it's when you're an officer. My nephew was going into law enforcement. I told him, I'm like, look, you've been as a civilian, you've been going away from trouble.
I'm gonna grab
Um,
it, needs to get changed.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, come on.
Mhm.
Um, so if you've been always going away from trouble. When you're in law enforcement, you go to where the trouble's happening, right? Like, and you're a first responder. It's a very heroic um type of role. And I'll give you some perspective, Dr. Kimberly. Like I'm a female officer in the Federal Emergency Management Agency. And part of that is involvement in the local Westmont Fire Department in where I live. It's in the community that I support. And we have 32 people on our fire department. And 30 of those are volunteers. 30. So 2 of them are getting paid. The rest 30 are fighting fires as a volunteer, risking their lives. So I mean, just gives you some perspective. It's like it's very heroic, and I look up to law enforcement for the work that they do and they continuously do and going out there every day. I'm not a full timer. I don't do full time law enforcement. I'm part of FEMA on a very very part time capacity. So seeing them out there every day and doing the work that they do is really really inspiring.
Yes, yes, it really is. And now, you're doing the bodybuilding, gym, you have the law enforcement, but you're also doing coaching and speaking. So, what kind of coaching are you doing and what are you talking about when you're speaking?
Yeah, so I mean, like speaking, Dr. Kimberly, is similar to this, like just talking about my life, and hopefully I could provide some inspiration for people. And part of the book, part of my speaking engagements, it's anything that could help people that if they're going down some of the same paths that I went down, they don't make the same mistakes that I did, making the same choices. If I could help them in any of that capacity, I would. That's the whole purpose behind all of it. And so the coaching is similar to that, right? Personal training. I have a personal training gym, so it could be in myriad of ways. Like whether you're helping people in sports, working with kids, aspiring to play sports, working with young adults who are aspiring to go into a different career and they want to advance their career, whether they want to get a promotion or progression, whether they want to shift their careers. So it's a myriad thing. It's not so much executive coaching, but it's more coaching teens, young adults, people like that.
Mhm. If you could give, I don't know, 3 tips, 3 pieces of advice to, middle school, high school kids coming up, just starting their lives, what would you say to them?
you know, build a good framework of mentorship with people that you trust. Um, one of the most difficult things for people in general is communication. Um, I'm finding out as I get older and older, communication is so critical, whether it's in your relationship, whether it's in your work, whether it's speaking, it's such an important task. And we just, as young adults or adolescents, as kids, we don't put enough emphasis on it. So, you know, perfect your communication style, know how to properly articulate things to people, know how to properly communicate. And that's something that I didn't do. I was very shy when I was, that's why I hid behind the weights and sports and things like that, because I was shy. Um, but I would be an advocate for people to be a little bit more social. Um, and then use your parents, you know, uh, as people that guide and shape you into a better person, a more rounded person, I should say, because that's one thing, a mistake that I made. I didn't really leverage my parents enough. I leveraged more my coaches. Um, but when not all the time, but a lot of times when you're done playing that specific sport or that doing that specific activity or whatever it is, coaches, they're coaching a lot of people. The love that you get from your parents is something that's unattainable.
Mhm.
Um, so let's take direction from your parents. That's something that I want to instill in my daughter is, you know, mom and dad love you and look out for you 100%. We are looking out for the best in you, uh, for you. So the love of a mom and dad is unmatched. So yeah, those are the couple of things I would advise, and live life to the fullest.
Mhm.
Don't get social media is such a powerful source now. People get bogged down by social media so much, right? It's like there's so much out there. It's easy to just be there in the moment of social media and just let it take over. The days, Dr. Kimberly, of coming home from school, putting your book back down and going out with friends outside, playing sports and playing out in the front and backyard and stuff, those times are like over now. And it's scary a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So if people wanted to connect with you, how do they connect with you? And if they wanted to do coaching with you or have you come and speak, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, no, thank you for asking that. So LinkedIn is I have a profile on LinkedIn. They can connect through that. Um, my email address, Dr. Kimberly, I don't know if I'm able to
Sure.
provide that. It's a little bit long, but it's my last name, Carbaidwala 37. So I'll spell that out: Carbaidwala 37 @gmail.com. And if someone is inquiring about coaching, personal training, mentorship, they could go to my website, which is www.shazadsnutrition.com. So SHAZADS nutrition.com. They could reach out to me there. And all my contact information is on my personal or on my business website. So you could reach out to me there as well.
Okay, well, thank you. So now I have a personal question for you.
Sure.
What gives you the most happiness and fulfillment in your life at this point?
Spending time with my family.
Well, beautiful.
Yeah, spending time with my little girl. Like tomorrow, Dr. Kimberly, we're going to Los Cabos, Mexico. Um, it keeps me motivated. It helps me so much and revitalizes me to kind of focus on going on and helping and doing some of the work that I've been doing.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today, for sharing your story in a very vulnerable way.
Thank you, Dr. Kimberly. No, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. It means a lot.
Yeah. So I have one last question before we finish. What is your best advice on living an incredible, amazing life?
Take pride in everything you do.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's my phrase I use. I use it for my gym. I use it for everything that I do. Take pride in everything you do, because tomorrow is not a promise to anybody. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. If you have things you want to get accomplished in life, take pride in it and go and get it, because life is so precious and it's so short and it goes by really fast.
That's right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Dr. Kimberly. Thank you for having me on the show.
We'll talk to you again soon.
Take care.